Shalom, all praises to Yahawah, bahasham Yahawashi, bahasham Racha Kodash, double honor to the apostles and elders, great millstone that rule well, and they bring the word and doctrine. Shalom and peace, may that be unto the elect of the nation of Israel. Right, so Lord, just a quick hit on this. It says Sudan Army Chief has notes on Russian naval base deal. Gen Abdel Fattah al-Burhan says there are faults in the base deal that have to be remedied. Sudan's army chief, General Maimon, I just read it, said Khartoum has some notes about the agreement on the construction of a Russian naval base on the country's Red Sea coast. Now, if you know about Sudan and historically the geography there, we go back to the Cushites of the scriptures, right? Kawash says the creation of this base is part of an existing agreement. We keep regularly discussing the matter, and there are some faults that have to be remedied. Al-Burhan told Russia's state-run news agency Sputnik, "We are committed to international agreements and will continue to implement them to the end," he said. The Sudanese general said Khartoum has long-standing and continuous military cooperation with Moscow, or Moscow, however you want to say it. And go into this, what does Moscow, Moscow. So God goes into Gawag, right? It says mountain. When you deal with the mountain region, the mountain areas of the Caucasus Mountains, which is Russia, or Gawag, they are much more abundant, let's say, or there's a much higher concentration of natural resources, copper, and certain resources that are useful, juxtaposed to Europe, which half of Russia is considered Europe, half of it's considered Asia. But in Europe, that would be that bottomless pit, whereas Russia, it seems to have some, and let's get into makeup real quick. Seems to have some sort of resource, or something that isn't dead, barren. Gawag says land of Gog, really it being from Gog, right out of. So Ezekiel 38:1, and the word of Yahawah came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against them, and say, Thus saith Ha'adawon Yahawah, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. So the Lord's against the power, the ruler of the land of Magog. Now you see, it's the land of Magog because the people of Meshech, Tubal. Let's see the first use of that word. It says Genesis 10:2, the sons of Japheth, Gomer and Magog, and Madai and Javan and Tubal and Meshech and Tyrus. So it's not the sons, it's not the people of Japheth, that Hebrew E, but it's the land of Magog. So the inhabitants there. And from Alexander, that's when E began to colonize that land there. But those people in, E was scattered. That's a topic. Now, the Edomites didn't just stay in Mount Seir forever, especially not after Greece came up and such. So it says, say unto the Lord, and say, Thus saith the Lord power, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back, and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armour, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Why? Because the latter part of that, why? Because it's the land of Yahawashi, right? The land of the Lord's judgment. That's where a big proportion of the pending destruction, right? The looming disaster will take place in Yahawashi in the Middle East there. And the Lord will turn thee back, Gog, and put hooks into thy jaws. Because back when you had the USSR, and you had Azerbaijan, all these other places, subject, there was more than the country of Russia. You know, those countries that are now countries in their quote-unquote own right, they were also subject or under that order. And it says, verse 5, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Now you look into Ethiopia. Kawash says Kush, because black. And the Arabic so-called N-word, that is Kushi. Really, it's the people going back to Kush, Kushitic. You still have that as a secular ethnic group. What you have here is Ethiopian, Kush, Ethiopians. As I said earlier, if you know about Sudan, the geography there was historically there was Ethiopia, Sudan. They weren't just the same borders again as today. So you have a lot of Kushites nationally dwelling in the land that's now called Sudan. So all of this is for prophecy's sake. Persia, which is what the Iranians, Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya. You have a country today again called Libya. But you have to look at the borders again. With them, all of them with shield and helmet. A shield and helmet are instruments of war. Because enjoy the second chapter when you read about it. It talks about making, it's like the third chapter. Joel 3 and 10. Be your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. So that's beating your instruments of farming into instruments of war. Right, verse 11, assemble yourselves and come, O ye heathen. Right, Kal Gawayam. Kal Hagawayam. Right, all the heathen. It says, assemble yourselves and come, O ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahawah. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yahawashi, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. You look into that word Shapat. It's judge, govern, vindicate, punish, to act as a lawgiver or judge or governor of God, man, to rule, govern, judge, to decide controversy of God, man, to execute judgment, discriminating of man, vindicating, condemning, and punishing, at theophanic advent for final judgment, to enter into controversy, plead, have controversy together, to be judged, judge a permanent law. Right, so the Lord is going to shapat these heathen. It says, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Right, so this is going to be the place that all of the shapatting happens, man. And that article was only 6 days ago. Obadiah 1:15. For the day of Yahawah is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee, and thy reward shall return upon thine own head. Right, so the Cushites have had their time. The Gogites, the dwellers rather, of Magog, the Edomites, just to put it plainly, had their time. That's what Obadiah is a whole chapter. A short little book, because it's only one chapter for the whole book. It's the judgment upon Esau. Right? That's not just the man Esau, that's his progeny. See if it... we finish here. Yeah, read to 7 from 5. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. That's a Turkey. Anyone that's of the alignment, you know, you've seen the factions get closer, if you like. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So we'll see what else we've got in this, and then close out. November 2020, the Russian President Vladimir Putin approved a draft agreement between his country and Sudan for the re-establishment of a Russian naval base on the Red Sea coast of the African country. Now, what are they doing together? Conspiring for prophecy's sake, for prophetic value. The 25 years long agreement was signed at the time of the former president Omar Bashir, who was removed from power by the military in April 2019. The base was to be Russia's first ever full military presence in Africa and the second in the world after Tartus in Syria. Right, so the first ever full military presence in Africa from Russia. And where did it be? Where did it take place? In a Kush, in the land of Kush, man. Says, but in April 2021, Sudan froze a military agreement with Russia, a top Sudanese official told Anadolu Agency, and in June, the Army Chief of Staff, General Mohammed Othman al-Hussein, said Khartoum was reviewing the military agreement with Russia, including the establishment of a naval base on the Red Sea coast. Al-Burhan's statements came 1 week after he announced a state of emergency and dissolved the Transitional Sovereign Council and government amid rising tensions between the military and the civilian administration in the country. You know, them troubles, them uproars of the people that talks about in 2nd Ezra, it's all prophetic. And whether they say, oh no, we don't want it, well, you're going to have it in the end. Yeah, it's written. But all of this is adding to more stability and instability in general, but stability in ties being seen between the countries that will, the nations that will. It says, before the military takeover, Sudan was administered by a sovereign council of military and civilian officials, which oversaw the transition period until elections slated for 2023 as part of a precarious power-sharing pact between the military and the Forces for Freedom Change Coalition, written by Basal Barakat in Ankara. They have it. The notes on Russian naval base deal. Right, there's faults that have to be remedied. Why do they have to be remedied? Because it's written that they will be. They will be. So I pray that was edifying. Until the next one, Lord willing, all praises to Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi, bahasham, Rachak, Wadash, Shalom.